Hello, everybody. It's story time today. I don't feel like I do enough reading of writing online, and I thought maybe today was a good day to start. I don't know if you can see my. This is in honor of my weekly writing prompt. Those of you who are following that and using it, you're going to understand that. But I am going to read this poem, which I illustrated. It's available if you want it. You just go to my website if you want that. I'll talk about that later, but right now I just wanted to read it because I feel like it's a message that I just want to share right now. I don't know why. I just feel like I want to. So here's the poem. And maybe after I read it, I'll talk a little bit about why I wrote it. But the title is The Story of Anyone Who Has Never Been Seen, Never Been Heard. And I illustrated it with art that I created specifically for the poem. So I'll show you that as I read. And it begins, Dear Oppressors, I finally see liberty, a once clouded star. My body wishes to crowd around the light, a sheltering cove, a hopeful suggestion flung outward in a room of acquaintances. You had me wilted into the secret darkness you called freedom. I walked over those unlit shores, believing the water as shallow as you said. In the lack of light, the truth washed against my shod feet at regular, timely, and faithful intervals. In my pockets, I carried heavy stones, clinking against each other, noise which filled the time. A break in the endless waves pulled back the veil of darkness to which I was so accustomed. Turning my head for the silence, in awe, seeing the shore littered with bodies for the first time, paralyzed me with despair. When I could stand again, I walked for a while. In mourning, astonishment, I wept at the death. The arms outstretched for help, the rictus of their last moments still trapped on their faces, the words they wanted to say forever clasped to the hollows of their mouths. The heavy stories in my pocket echoed against walls I did not know were there. In the brightening light, no longer shuffling by feel, the bodies collapsed in their infinite variety, all told the same story. Mine told that story too. In the secret darkness, stories fall easily from one hand to another. We accept them without knowing how shallow the plot, how collectively inane the characters, how obviously vile its villains. How could we know? We were forced to feel them out with our hands, reaching into dark spaces without knowing what may happen. And because terrors came to steal us, to maim us, to break us into parts, many of us did not dare to reach out at all. Fear silences many motivations. Still, throwing our hands out could offer rewards, small truths, which fortune might unite like a puzzle. Some of us put together the parts, washed against our heels, bumping in the tide, and began to glimpse the larger framework. We built a sketchy outline, better described as a poorly constructed shanty town which leaned at the desperate edge of a gleaming city encapsulated by walls too high to climb. We gaze upon the unending horizon of oppression, and we know even more sorrow than the secret darkness of the lies through which we stumbled. Eventually, we became accustomed to seeing the bodies which resolve into mere debris, which we must leave aside in order to keep shuffling forward until we find others like us, others who no longer crumple downward in small circles, others who also have discovered the light of liberty and curve dome-like around their hungry stars. We collect ourselves into groups where we cling to the raft of bodies. In waves we rise, holding up the bodies in pyramids, handing down stones of stories, the truth we've built with our fingers in darkness, the rickety structure of dreams and whispers and nightmares and half-healed sutures. None of us knows all the truth. All of us know the whole story. We share in snatched moments, carefully riveted, clumsily erected. In our universities of suffering, we gather the promises of scholarship, of our collected secrets. And soon we begin to teach each other how to break the structure of what we survived. Tearing away old clothes and cheap trinkets, tossing them atop the bonfire, we build higher and wider along the shores, drawing more and more of us to the beacon, hands reaching out no longer in fumbling supplication, but with purposeful resignation. We build pyramids of fuel, pyramids of stories, pyramids of graves, pyramids of love and compassion. We build with shared purpose. The fire of liberty is burning. We are naked in its embers, It lights up the walls of your gleaming cities. It exposes the bodies of your victims. It colors the darkness with gold. And the last page says, signed, the oppressed. I hope you enjoyed the poem. I'm actually pretty proud of this work. I wrote it a long time ago, actually, but I only published it about a year ago. And it's available right now on Amazon if you want it, but you can go to my website, ElaineRSnyder.com, if you want to find it. It's on my book, it's in my bookstore page. But I wrote it because it felt like it needed to be said. And so I hope that it touched somebody today and gives you hope, helps you to be seen and to realize that we're all struggling together right now, and it's okay. It's not your fault if you're struggling. We've all been there. Everybody struggles in some way. Even people who don't look like they're struggling probably are. We all have struggles in some way, shape, or form. They just come in different varieties. Either way, I just wanted everybody to know that I'm thinking about you, and I hope that you're well, and have hope.